Hey, I'm James Kotecki, your host for Great Conversations in the C Space Studio right here at CES 2022. It's happening live, and right now it's happening with Gabe Viggers, entrepreneur in residence at attn.live. Welcome.
Hello. How are you?
Hello. I am great. Well, thank you for asking me that question. But I'll be asking the questions here. Thank you very much. The first of which is, can you just describe what you do, what attn.live is, give people a baseline?
Yeah, so attn.live, so you know when you go live to a bunch of different platforms, you have to set up a device for every single platform, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, you got to set up a device. So what attn.live does is you go through one platform to stream to all the social media sites, as well as Spotify, Alexa, and Bixby and all those other things. And what I do specifically is I work with the product, I deal with clients, help onboarding beta users, and all sorts of stuff like that. Yeah.
So tell me about some of the clients. What are people using this for?
So they're using it for, so like the one person I know, they just have a real estate podcast. They just talk about real estate. They create NFTs onto their real estate podcast, like every time they go live. Also, another thing is comedy. I'm seeing as something that I'm trying to actually get my friends to do is comedy NFTs. I think that could be a huge thing. Just selling your comedy as NFTs, I think that could be a huge thing.
Yeah, so let's break this down. So I'm going live on attn.live. I tell a great joke, and I can then kind of make that joke into an NFT.
Yep, 100%.
So what I love of that, because I'm kind of a comedy nerd, and people are always talking in comedy about joke stealing, like who owns this joke, how do you kind of figure it out? I guess NFTs would solve that.
Yep.
And you could theoretically also kind of like, I sold my joke to this other person, but it's totally legit because it's all recorded on the blockchain now.
You could license your joke too?
Yes. And or every time someone told the joke, you would get a cut. You could do all kinds of things like that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's fascinating. But it's interesting to talk to you. I believe when we were figuring out who we were going to be interviewing for this, you were described as, I think, the youngest speaker at, I believe, the event that's on your hat, right?
Yes.
NFT NYC.
Yes.
So you're coming at this from a youthful perspective, which I really appreciate. And so I want to just take this opportunity to get your perspective on some of the foundational things that are shaping the future and just kind of how you define them. So what you're talking about is kind of a part of what is often called Web3. What does Web3 mean to you?
So what Web3 means to me is Web3 is helping bring power back to the creator and reducing the amount of intermediaries within certain, not industries, but in my opinion, reducing intermediaries is generally a good thing. So like in business, and this is just my humble opinion, it should be two peers that consent to a deal essentially. And essentially what the NFT and blockchain community can do is help just essentially make that more seamless between two people rather than having 5 people having to be involved in some sort of transaction, whether it be real estate, whether it be selling music, whether it be anything like that.
And does this how does this resonate with you? Like, does it make intuitive sense to you? Is it almost like, I can't believe that we had Web 2 where that wasn't possible? Like, what's your attitude on it?
No, because I think Web 2 has to be there. It has to be the ground to, launch into Web3. You have to have the Amazons, you have to have the people making the hardware to make Web3 actually, possible.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have Web 2, then there's no Web3 in a sense.
Yeah, I remember starting on YouTube right around the time that Google bought YouTube, and I remember thinking that this is a great opportunity for people to talk directly, for politicians or celebrities, remember, to kind of talk directly to their fan base. But there still is some kind of intermediary there, right? Like, I feel like almost looking back on it, I was maybe a little bit Pollyannish in terms of understanding just kind of how many, the big players still needed to be involved. And I think you seem to be looking at that pretty clearly.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Big players are definitely still going to obviously be there because they've been there forever and they're doing awesome things that need to be done. And as well as, like I said, they have the hardware. You have to have serious hardware to do things on the blockchain, and yeah.
So it's not about no intermediaries, it's just about having fewer intermediaries or a more seamless experience?
I'm talking about intermediaries in the sense of like, labels are going to morph, in my opinion, in 5 to 10 years, music labels. So like, it's going to be more direct from the artist to their consumer of their music, rather than having to use, get chained to a label in a sense, like as we can see what's happening. So I think things like the label are going to morph and change into something different in the next 5 to 15 years.
Let's get your perspective on another definition, the metaverse. What does that mean to you?
The metaverse. So what the metaverse means to me is, the metaverse, in my opinion, it's Web3. So the metaverse.
You think, are they synonymous in your opinion?
In my opinion, yes. Web3 and metaverse, it's like just a synonym for each other, and essentially, Web3 and the metaverse are, basically this, in my opinion, the same thing. But the metaverse is more used for in the terms of buying digital clothes or things within a VR world that we can live in or something like that, or you play to earn video games or something like that.
So the metaverse is a VR thing. You kind of see it as you put on some goggles
well,
and go to a place.
I honestly think that you could make the argument that we already live in the metaverse because, like Elon Musk said, we're all cyborgs. We just don't know it because we have our phones, we have our computers. Like, we are cyborgs. We are. That is an attachment to our life.
Most people are watching us through a screen. They're not watching us live in the room.
And so, like, you could argue that we are, already in the metaverse because of everything digital that we already live in.
So you're here at CES for this panel, Voice and the Metaverse. What does that mean?
Voice in the Metaverse. So this is very interesting to me. I think that, like Ian was saying earlier, it's not going to be fingers to glass. I think being able to control the Metaverse with your voice, load me into Sandbox, put this on me, like you can say it with your voice, control the Metaverse with your voice rather than having to type or, joystick or controller or something like that. It can be, I think that the best experience will be made through voice.
Yeah.
In the easiest way.
Do you see a future where you're ultimately down the road then controlling it with your thoughts? Would you ever be interested in that?
Yeah, I mean, I think like just the other day, someone posted the first tweet using their thoughts. And I think that could be something that's definitely interesting. Because with a lot what Musk is doing with Neuralink and all that is quite interesting, actually. It's pretty fascinating.
But that's interesting. We had John Stein here earlier talking about regulations and kind of policies and kind of industry ideas and standards for this. And when we think about doing that with thoughts, it seems like a whole other level of crazy complexity.
Oh, definitely. It's also a little interesting though, because it's like that's really it's a weird thing to like, because we've been writing emails, texting, and everything like that, but then thought to thought without even saying words or sending anything is quite interesting to think about.
How would a conference like CES look, or how will it look differently when your generation is running it?
That's a great question. I think that CES is going to be, well, I mean, it's already amazing, but I think that it's just going to become more and more like complex. So I think that CES is a great place for people to come bring ideas and then take these ideas from ideas to capitalize them and to turn them into projects, and so, or companies or businesses, projects, whatever you want to call them. I think that you're also going to see at CES a lot more blockchain and metaverse things, in the sense of not just NFTs and art. I'm talking about high utility, like NFTs or digital assets. Not just, because in my opinion, the Bored Apes and CryptoPunks, those are like the first mainstream application of the NFT space, is like owning something like that. Yeah. But where we're headed has nothing to do with photos. Seriously, in the blockchain, it's going to be used for like high utility, music, selling houses, insurance, all sorts of that thing.
Yeah, let's dive one more level on that. I think I know where you're going, but I think that's interesting because when people say NFTs, what they think of is a pixelated image that a cool artist made and it looks neat, but that's, I think, maybe even part of the reason why people who aren't in this space are so confused by it. Like, you're telling me that this goofy pixelated pizza is somehow the future of technology, but it's more than that.
Yeah, there's a lot more to that. So essentially what an NFT is, it's a smart contract. It's a computer. And you can essentially program it to do whatever your imagination wants it to do. And it's going to be quite fascinating to see what happens in the next 2 to 5 years with what people do with their imagination in the blockchain. It's going to be quite the next 2 to 5 years.
Well, let's keep talking and see where imagination takes us. Thanks so much for joining us, Gabe Viggers at attn.live. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching the C-Space Studio. We're going to have more great conversations just ahead live here at CES 2022. I'm James Kotecki. Keep it here.